sad and now he'll be happy. I don't know.
Maybe he was hot, now he's cooled off.
Pretty sure it's just broken now. I think that's
The world will never know.
I think I could probably go with Matt on that one.
You don't know. Did it say that it was just broken?
You know what? It did not say the final status of the robot, but
See?
considering they're using the word suicide, I'm guessing that it ended in the robot being dead.
Or the person just assumed.
Maybe they just assumed, but I'm pretty sure it's dead. Pretty sure. That's about everything we had there. But I can tell you what's not dead, what's not broken.
Movie Madness Monday! Movie Madness Monday!
He stole my segue.
Actually,
That was literally exactly what I was going to say. But he stole it from me.
Well, you know what? It's okay.
And by the way, I just want to say, as sad as this is...
I was gonna say, as decent of a segue that was, it probably wasn't the one for this story.
Well, as sad, I was going to say, as sad as the story is, I'm kind of over it.
Yeah, I mean...
Because it was all over Facebook, all over the news, all over everything.
It is all over the place. I mean, it's making an even bigger splash than Adam West passing away, or I think even a bigger... It's as far as Facebook goes, it's making a bigger splash than Gene Wilder passing away. Or about the same level on Facebook, at least. But anyway, so you guys know the band Linkin Park, obviously, right?
Who doesn't know Linkin Park?
Yeah, anybody who doesn't know Linkin Park should listen to Linkin Park because they are a pretty good band. But anyways, as sad as it is to say, Chester Bennington, the frontman for Linkin Park, was found dead on Thursday, and his death is being investigated as a possible suicide. He was 41 years old, and he left behind his wife along with his 6 children. Hold
on. I thought it was like they had deemed it a murder.
You know what? I think it might, in maybe one of the latest updates, I think it might be starting to be looked at like that, just in case, because I think they always consider every possible motive, every possible reason why it would be a murder or why anybody would be after him. But either way, his good friend Mike Shinoda, who is also another member of Linkin Park, was saying that he was shocked and heartbroken that it's true, and that an official statement will come out as soon as they all have one. Basically, he was reacting to Bennington's death along with social media. It's making a huge splash. Basically, their record label, or one of their good friends at their record label, was saying that Chester was an artist of extraordinary talent and charisma, and a human being with a huge heart and caring soul. Our thoughts and prayers are with his beautiful family and his bandmates and his many friends. All of us at WBR join with millions of grieving fans around the world in saying, we love you, Chester, and will be forever missed. Now, I'm one of the people that, grew up, I was really into Linkin Park from, somewhat early on, and, even then, I used to be in a band with some friends, and we were actually, learning some covers for Linkin Park. Linkin Park is one of, I would say, 3 of the bands that had the biggest influence on me getting into music, and that was the Beatles, Green Day, and Linkin Park. Linkin Park made a huge influence on me. It made a huge influence on a lot of my closest friends. Chester, the main singer for Linkin Park, was an inspiration, like a life, inspiration to my one friend Nick. They'd seem like 2 peas in a pod kind of thing. So really, I was really sad to hear about this. I'm actually, basically, since I heard about this, I gathered up all my CDs, which were in this case in my car, and I'm basically been listening through all the Linkin Park CDs. And the thing is about Linkin Park, every one of their albums is different. It's got a different feel to it. One album might be kind of like a rap style, another one will be like an electronica or a punk style, another one will be like a rock style. They worked so many different styles, so they had the talent to be able to round themselves like that. They had all these different styles that they would work with, that they tried and developed into their own thing, and it became what they were. Linkin Park is one of a kind band. There's not really a lot of bands out there that have been like that, doing something different over and over and over again with each album. At least none come to mind for me. Matt, do you know any?
I don't listen to many bands, so.
Wait, what did you say?
I said there's not a lot of bands that practice with so many different styles that Linkin Park did. Like every one of their albums was something different.
I mean, there's evolution of groups. There have been other groups that have kind of evolved over the years, but none probably
quite like
as
versatile,
rapidly as Linkin Park.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're saying every album was a different style,
it wasn't exactly a totally different style, but
I
they
mean,
definitely had some vast transitions.
But what I'm saying is like, okay, how long did it take for them to come out with these albums?
I would say they probably had one every year or two for a while.
Okay, so if it took them a year or two, then that would kind of explain it. They probably over the year, changed as people from year to year, so then that way their albums would change as well.
That's true, but you got a lot of bands too that even over decades they don't change hardly a bit.
Yeah, their style's always the same.
But then again, that's your kind of your trademark style too with some bands like that. Linkin Park, they didn't exactly have a trademark sound. They kind of had their own thing. They were just doing what they do. And I don't know, I think that's what a lot of people liked about them. Chester, the singer, he was a very deep person. The words he spoke in his music, the words he spoke in real life, carried meaning. And, you could tell, that he's been through a lot. And, he was also, handling life hard too after his friend, I think his name was Chris Cornell, passed away earlier this year. I'm pretty sure his name was Chris Cornell, but and that had a huge effect on him too because he was Chester's best friend.
Yeah.
So really, I could see how things were hard for him and everything like that. I'm never gonna say that suicide's the answer because it's not, but either way, it's sad to see such an amazing person depart from this world.
I think that goes for anyone, right? Because I guess for me, it's always bothered me. The way we treat, things like depression, suicide, and whatnot. Even technically speaking, ourselves, we were just joking about, a robot committing suicide, but it's a serious thing. And I know a lot, there are people I know within my own life, where, it's very hard for them to seek help. It can be for either economic reasons, because in some cases, your mental health is not considered the same for many people as your physical health. So
and for some people, it's hard to just seek help in general.
Too. Yeah.
There's a person that I know that said that she was when she was younger, in about middle school, she didn't feel like she could go to her parents. She didn't feel like she could go to her friends. So it was kind of like she was just stuck, and it made her do some things that she's not proud of now, and but her parents recognized it fairly soon that something was going on and was able to address the issue and get help, and it was nothing major happened. But I mean, some parents aren't like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to know your kids. I am sad to say that I was in a school where there was a lot of parents with money, and I could see their kids change because they just weren't in their lives.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you have a person like that who, their parents aren't really around, they may have a housekeeper or someone like that may be around or something. And if you don't feel like you can go to your friends, your parents are never around, really, who do you have to turn to?
Right.
I guess that's a hard one, but I think it's something that we can also prevent. So, we need to start taking more steps towards being supportive of our friends, looking out for those signs. Some of the research on it's not like you have to be a psychologist. Don't be a psychologist for your friend, if they're going through something. But, learn to recognize the signs of when they are, and then encourage them to go seek that help. So,
right.
Because, like I said, stuff like this can be, to me, that's the most upsetting part.
Well,
it's stuff like this can be prevented. So,
right. Well, and I don't even think has it officially been ruled as suicide, or was there? Because I know they were throwing around the idea of, like I said, that it could be murder, but I don't know who would want to murder.
Yeah, no, I'm really not sure yet. I still got to look into it a little bit more, but I believe that there's a possibility it might start being investigated as a murder. I mean,
Okay.
usually when a big celebrity dies, there's usually some kind of question there too. Like when Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
passed away, there were
And
a lot
Prince.
and Prince, yeah, a lot of people were being like, well, was it, maybe it was a murder, So I mean,
But then they found someone to blame.
yeah, and then they found somebody to blame.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, really, it's just sticky situation.
So I don't know how popular this song is, but I found a Linkin Park song that I would play. So let's see. This is kind of a popular one?
I've heard this one, yeah.
Okay. I pulled it off like the top 10 most popular songs.
There you go.
Yep, this is what I thought it was.
I had nothing to say, and I get lost in the nothingness inside of me. I was confused, and I let it all out and find that I'm not the only person with these things in mind. Inside of me, but all of me can see the words revealed is the only real thing that I've got left to feel. Just stuck, hollow and alone, and the fault is my own, and the fault is my own. I wanna heal, I wanna feel what I thought was never real. I wanna let go of the pain I felt so long. Erase all the pain till it's gone. I wanna heal, I wanna feel like I'm close to something real. I wanna find something I wanted all along. Somewhere I belong. And I got nothing to say. I can't believe I didn't fall right down on my.
So I was trying to find one that was appropriate that didn't seem too appropriate, but
Yeah, no, that was pretty good, and you know what? That's definitely one of their more popular songs. It's a really good one. You know what? I think I actually was listening to that earlier today
you're right.
when I was out running some errands. So it's
Well, and it's funny because there was a video that I saw recently, shortly after I found out that this has happened, and it was a video, and it was like I was trying to find it again. It was like the evolution of Linkin Park, and I was sitting there playing like some of their most popular songs. And I'm like, I know this one, and I know this one, and I know this one, and another. But you could see the change. They went from like it's almost like they started off as like a punk rock band,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of like went hardcore for a while, and then kind of softened up, and yeah, I don't know. They just made so many different changes that it was kind of.
They did. We were definitely all over the place. But you know what? It was a good band. I really enjoyed it. I can't really think of any of their work that I didn't enjoy. I really liked it. The only thing I heard about Linkin Park that wasn't that great was, I heard that they weren't as good in concert as they were, over album. Which I never got a chance to witness that. But either way, I still think it'd be awesome to see them in Well, it would have been awesome to see them in concert.
Well, they could do the whole thing that Queen did and
they did.
that Journey did, and,
Mhm.
and find a new lead singer.
They could do that. It'd probably be a little while though first of, taking a break or whatever. But what was it? Somewhere that they were posting online, like a full video of the last concert Linkin Park did with Chester before,
Right.
the sad event. But I don't know. I might have to go back and look at that or somewhere, or either way, look at this Evolution of Linkin Park video because that actually sounds really interesting too. Because they did evolve. They had their own thing going on for a while, and it kept changing and changing. They did some hardcore stuff. They did some punk stuff. They did some rap style stuff. They did all kinds of stuff. So really, there's probably some of their work somewhere that you could probably get into. So either way, though, yeah, like I said, Chester was about 41. I think he was born in 76. And, I noticed that a lot of these big stars like that go, like unexpectedly, it's always right around 40. Like I think Paul Walker was 40, and I think there was somebody else who.
Well, that one was a car crash.
Yeah, that was a car crash. But I don't know, like I feel like in the past like year or so, I don't remember who else there was, but I remember I heard about more than a couple celebrities, that were all like right around 40 that died. So I mean I don't know, but either way though, it's really sad to see him go, and I'm gonna be listening to Linkin Park for a while now. Still, I'm maybe like halfway through their music, but Anyway, so rest in peace, Chester Bennington. It was good listening to your art, and we'll continue to listen.